Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing not just your reflection, but the echoes of an ancient past, traces of a being that walked the earth 40,000 years ago. What if I told you that deep inside your body, within your very DNA, live the whispers of Neanderthals? Yes, you heard that right. Many of us carry the genetic legacy of prehistoric humans, and it still affects us today in ways you might never expect. Introduction: Who were the Neanderthals? The Neanderthals were not our enemies. They were our ancient cousins, intelligent, strong, and surprisingly similar to us. They lived across Europe and Asia for over 300 years, enduring harsh climates and mastering survival skills long before modern humans came into the picture. But around 40,000 years ago, they vanished. What happened? Well, before they disappeared, they encountered us Homo sapiens, and some of us quite literally got together. Through interbreeding, Neanderthal genes became part of the modern human genome. That means that today, most people of non-African descent have between 1% and 2% Neanderthal DNA. And now comes the fascinating part. What does that ancient DNA do? How is it affecting you right now? Body surprising ways. Neanderthal DNA still affects us. Your immune system. You can thank Neanderthals for some of your immunity. Genes inherited from them help us fight off viruses and bacteria. These ancient genes gave early humans a survival edge when they migrated into new environments. Your sleep patterns. Are you a night owl or an early riser? Recent studies suggest that Neanderthal DNA influences our circadian rhythms. In fact, some of our sleep tendencies, like insomnia or seasonal affective disorder, may be traced back to adaptations Neanderthals made to cold, dark climates. Your skin and hair. Neanderthal genes helped our ancestors adapt to less sunlight. They influenced skin tone and even the thickness of your hair. Some people even inherited genes that affect how their skin tans or burns. Your risk for diseases. Now here's the flip side. Some of these ancient genes come with baggage. Neanderthal DNA has been linked to an increased risk of depression, type 2 diabetes, nicotine addiction, and even severe reactions to COVID-19. Your brain and emotions. Surprisingly, scientists have found that Neanderthal DNA may affect neurological traits, such as pain sensitivity and mood regulation. That's right, your ancient genes might influence how you handle stress, anxiety, or even social behavior. You are not just a product of your parents or your upbringing. You are also a time capsule of prehistoric survival, a living museum of ancient stories encoded in your cells. By understanding how Neanderthal DNA shapes us today, we gain insight not just into science, but into what it means to be human. So next time you catch yourself being a bit grumpy on a cold morning or craving a cozy cave-like room, you might just be channeling your inner Neanderthal. Neanderthal DNA lives in most non-African humans today, with an average of 1-2% of our genome inherited from these ancient relatives. This surprising fact is the result of interbreeding between Neanderthals and early modern humans tens of thousands of years ago, most likely when Homo sapiens first migrated out of Africa and encountered Neanderthals living in Europe and parts of Asia. Far from being completely separate species, Neanderthals and modern humans were genetically similar enough to produce fertile offspring, allowing this genetic legacy to be passed down through countless generations. Genetic studies using ancient DNA extracted from Neanderthal fossils have made it possible to compare their genome with ours. These comparisons have revealed that virtually every person today who is not of purely sub-Saharan African descent carries fragments of Neanderthal DNA. These fragments are scattered throughout the genome, and while each individual might carry only a small percentage, collectively, nearly 40-50% of the Neanderthal genome still exists, just distributed in bits and pieces across billions of people today. The exact percentage and types of Neanderthal DNA vary by individual and population. For example, people of East Asian descent tend to carry slightly more Neanderthal ancestry than those of European descent, likely due to multiple waves of interbreeding. Meanwhile, African populations have little to no direct Neanderthal DNA, although more recent studies have shown they may carry trace amounts due to back migration of people from Eurasia into Africa. This inherited DNA is not just a historical footnote. It is active in our biology, influencing how certain genes are expressed, how our bodies respond to the environment, and how we interact with the world around us. Neanderthal DNA plays a significant role in boosting our immune system and enhancing our ability to fight infections. When early modern humans encountered Neanderthals in Europe and Asia, they were entering unfamiliar environments filled with new pathogens, bacteria, and viruses. Neanderthals had already lived in those regions for hundreds of thousands of years and had evolved immune responses specifically adapted to local diseases. Through interbreeding, Homo sapiens inherited some of those crucial immune-related genes, giving them an evolutionary advantage in these new landscapes. One of the most important contributions of Neanderthal DNA is found in a family of genes called the HLA human leukocyte antigen complex. These genes are central to the immune system's ability to recognize and respond to pathogens. Studies have shown that certain HLA variants inherited from Neanderthals provided stronger immune defenses, enabling early humans to mount faster and more effective responses against infections. Other immune-related genes inherited from Neanderthals include those that affect the toll-like receptors TLRs, which play a key role in detecting microbial invaders and triggering immune responses. These Neanderthal-derived TLR genes are associated with heightened immune alertness, giving modern humans better defense mechanisms against bacteria and viruses. However, this increased immune sensitivity may also come with trade-offs. While Neanderthal genes helped protect against ancient infections, their hyperresponsiveness may also contribute to a greater likelihood of developing allergies, autoimmune disorders, or inflammatory conditions in today's relatively sterile environments. In the context of our evolutionary past, these genes were life-saving assets, arming our ancestors with the tools needed to survive in challenging and disease-prone environments where immune readiness could mean the difference between life and death. Neanderthal DNA has a noticeable influence on modern human traits like sleep patterns, skin tone, and hair characteristics. These inherited genes were shaped by the environments Neanderthals lived in for hundreds of thousands of years. Cold, dark regions of Ice Age, Europe, and Asia where adaptation to limited sunlight, colder climates, and seasonal cycles was crucial for survival. When Homo sapiens interbred with Neanderthals, many of these traits were passed down and are still expressed in people today. One key area of influence is the body's circadian rhythm, which governs our sleep-wake cycles. Genetic variants inherited from Neanderthals affect how our internal clocks respond to light, leading to differences in whether someone is a morning person or a night owl. These adaptations were likely beneficial in high-latitude regions with long winters and extended periods of darkness, where managing sleep and energy was critical to survival. Skin and hair also bear the signature of Neanderthal ancestry. Genes affecting keratin, the protein that strengthens skin, hair, and nails, are known to have Neanderthal origins. These variations may have made the skin tougher or the hair thicker, offering protection against colder climates. Additionally, certain genes involved in pigmentation were influenced by Neanderthal DNA, affecting how the skin responds to ultraviolet radiation. This includes differences in tanning ability, skin lightness or darkness, and the tendency to develop freckles or sun sensitivity. These genetic adaptations reflect how Neanderthals evolved over generations to suit their environment, and when modern humans absorbed these genes through interbreeding, they inherited traits that helped them survive similar conditions. Today, even in vastly different environments, these traits remain embedded in our genetic makeup, silently shaping how we experience the world in everyday, visible ways. Some Neanderthal genes passed down through interbreeding have been linked to increased risks for various modern diseases, showing that the inheritance of ancient DNA isn't always beneficial. While these genes once provided evolutionary advantages, especially in prehistoric environments, they can now contribute to health problems in the context of modern lifestyles, diets, and environments. Research in recent years has uncovered connections between Neanderthal genetic variants and a range of conditions, including type 2 diabetes, autoimmune disorders, depression, nicotine addiction, and even severe COVID-19 symptoms. One of the most striking discoveries is a cluster of Neanderthal genes on chromosome 3, which has been associated with a higher risk of severe illness from COVID-19. This same region may have once helped ancient humans survive viral infections common in Ice Age environments, but today it appears to heighten inflammatory responses, sometimes dangerously so. Similarly, genes related to fat storage and insulin sensitivity, traits that were useful during periods of food scarcity, are now implicated in metabolic conditions like diabetes and obesity in a world of food abundance. Some inherited Neanderthal variants also affect how the immune system functions, increasing susceptibility to allergies and autoimmune diseases. These conditions arise when the immune system becomes overactive and starts attacking the body's own tissues, possibly a side effect of genes that once kept our ancestors highly alert to environmental threats. In the brain, certain Neanderthal gene variants have been linked to mood disorders such as depression and anxiety, suggesting a complex interaction between ancient neurobiology and modern mental health challenges. These findings show that traits once advantageous for survival in ancient, harsh conditions can become mismatches in the context of today's world, where environments and lifestyles have dramatically changed while the influence of our prehistoric DNA still lingers within us. Neanderthal DNA doesn't just affect physical traits. It also influences the brain, emotions, and certain aspects of behavior in modern humans. Scientists have discovered that some gene variants inherited from Neanderthals are active in the brain, particularly in areas involved in mood regulation, social interaction, and sensory processing. These ancient genes may subtly shape how people perceive the world, respond to emotional situations, and even how sensitive they are to pain. One example is the influence of Neanderthal variants on brain structure and activity. Some studies have linked these variants to differences in the size and function of specific brain regions, such as the cerebellum and occipital lobe, which are involved in balance, vision, and cognitive processing. Though small, these variations can affect information processing speed, emotional reactions, and memory. Neanderthal DNA has also been associated with altered pain thresholds, meaning some individuals today may feel pain more intensely or differently due to inherited ancient variants in pain receptor genes. Behavioral traits like introversion, social withdrawal, or anxiety have also been weakly associated with Neanderthal-derived genes. These genes may have once supported survival in isolated, small groups where caution and strong situational awareness were vital. For example, in harsh Ice Age environments, being highly alert or reactive to danger could increase chances of survival. In the modern world, however, those same traits may manifest as stress sensitivity or emotional disorders, especially in overstimulating or socially demanding environments. Neanderthal influence on brain chemistry also extends to how people respond to certain drugs, stress hormones, and environmental pressures. Gene expression studies have shown that Neanderthal variants can affect the activity of neurotransmitters and hormone regulation pathways, contributing to variation in emotional resilience, learning patterns, and behavioral tendencies among individuals today.